I'd like to talk to you a little bit about San Francisco music. The Fillmore West in particular, was really important in developing San Francisco music. Now, what is San Francisco music outside of a bunch of musicians out of San Francisco? Is there something that characterizes it, or an attitude, or
Perhaps an attitude. Let me again. Anything I say is opinion. I don't sit here as the expert. I am not a musicologist. I'm in the music business. There is no such thing as a San Francisco sound. It's a silly thing to say. Like saying there's a Boston sound, Detroit sound. There's a hard rock sound. There's a metallic sound. There was a group called Ohm or Montrose who play hard rock and roll. Then there's Jesse Cullen Young. There's Jefferson Airplane. There's the Grateful Dead. If there was anything, or if there is anything, there was at one time an attitude, which then permeated throughout the industry, which was, strangely enough, the best way to explain it is, if I were to put a capsule over the cloud of the typical San Francisco musician of the 60s, the capsule would say, you know, the little circle in the cartoons?
Mm-hmm.
Hey man, don't tell me I'm in show business. I ain't in show business. I just happen to be on that stage, and I'll be tuning for a while, and I'll make believe I'm in my living room, and maybe you'll like what I do, but if you don't, hey!
turn me off?
No, the point is that the majority of the bands, and one of the reasons for the big problems they had once it became big business, and they had to deal with the mustaches in Los Angeles, and the publishers, and the royalty people, and of course they said, we got screwed, we got screwed, we got screwed. Here in America, you're in a mercantile system, and if somebody can take advantage of a guy who doesn't know, they will take advantage of you. And part of that is because you insisted on saying, I'm not in show business. The minute you stepped on the stage for 2 cents, you were in show business. So that in 1966 and 1967 and 1968, oh, we don't want any records, we just want to hang out, we want to play in the park, we want to play at the Fillmore or the Avalon. That was wonderful. There's nothing wrong with that. You shouldn't have expected it to be anything else once you wanted to change it. You want to sign a record deal, but you didn't want to hire a professional manager, even though there weren't that many then, but you wanted to trust the guy on the block. Who was picked in such a manner? Now, I'm generalizing and hypothesizing. A bunch of guys said, we want to get together. Well, you're the bass player, and you're the drummer, and I'm the lead guitarist, you're the singer. Well, Charlie doesn't play, but he's always with us. He's the manager.
Yeah.
You carry the equipment? You can get us across the bridge? You're the manager. Well, so long as the group went from Palo Alto to Winnemucca to back to Palo Alto to Berkeley, he could handle it. But then he had to buy airplane tickets, and then he had to go to the record companies, and then he had to talk to the accountants, and then he had to get life insurance, and he had to get endorsements. Different business. And, of course, they claimed they got screwed. One of the reasons they got screwed was they refused to accept the fact that it was a big business, and you better get knowledgeable, educated people in that field. As far as the music is concerned, the music expressed their... I will say this, that I don't think any other era affected the musical output of a generation the way that one did. Liberal, very verbal about the social climate and the political climate, and the psychic climate, sexual climate. More than anything, it was, quote, the time to let it all hang out, which they did. But they did it in different ways. Of course, one said, up against the wall, motherfucker. The other one said, Country Joe, give me an F, give me a U. The other one said, let's get out of Vietnam. The other one says, down with Nixon. And whatever their words were. And I'm not knocking that. One of the sad things about it, and it was very nice, and they were overt about it, and open, and they supported those causes. They also wanted to become successful, and they also wanted to make it, and they also wanted to live better, but they couldn't say it. And the music hid that, and the music did express that we are all the same. You're standing in front of the stage, I'm on the stage. Let's get together. We shall overcome. Let's have a good time. But as they succeeded, weren't those homes getting nicer? Weren't their cars getting nicer? And did they take their money and share it? No. They are no different. They were not different. The guys, I'm not saying they were phony. They just didn't say those things. And they were no different than the successful dentist who moved to Atherton. I'm not speaking against them. I hope you're not
No,
misunderstanding.
Yeah,
me.
right.
No,
I-
that's not.
And they shared up to a point, and then they had less time to share and less time to share because they were busy with their business, which was music. Then they went on the road, and they had to rehearse, and then they had to write songs, and all of a sudden, they didn't have that much time for the free shows anymore. Although there's still more of that going on in the Bay Area than anywhere else, and there is still a group that has not changed, who to me are the finest example of what could have happened in the overall industry, which are the Grateful Dead. That they still watch their prices, that they still try to do free shows, that that they're still not stagnated, that they still have that their social viewpoint is still so apparent in their group, in the way they live and the way they work, which is a whole history into itself. But the music of the 60s, when it all got started, was primarily stronger and more apparent than in any other era that I know of. A statement about the times, covering the total spectrum of what happens within a society: physical, social, sexual, political, and so on.
Would you say that it started in San Francisco and then grew out of San Francisco?
Absolutely started. It did not start in Liverpool. It started right here. Absolutely. The lyrics and the music, not the sound, the lyrics and the relationship to the community at large started here. Yes.